touchdown. Corbett, the rookie from Boomer. He grew up in Garfield, New Jersey, 10 minutes from Giant Stadium.
But short of a first down, Corbett was able to work free. What a move by Wayne Corbett.
Absolutely unbelievable. You're talking about a kid who is just all heart.
Welcome to the Underdog Jets podcast with Wayne Corbett and Robbie Sabo. Welcome back to the Underdog Jets podcast, ladies and gentlemen, with Wayne Corbett here on Monday night. Just a few days away from the 2022 NFL Draft, which means Jets fans are on pins and needles. They can't sit still. They don't know what the heck is going to happen, as we touched on last week. Unlike the previous two drafts, which was relatively simple. Mekhi Becton, left tackle, Zach Wilson, quarterback, Trey Darnold. Not simple, but, right in front of Joe Douglas's face. This is very different. We don't know what's going to happen. And it's a credit to Joe Douglas and this new regime where the leaks do not happen in this building in Florham Park. And that's a really good thing. But for fans, the anticipation mounts. Wayne, how's everything tonight? And, how you feeling about this draft coming up?
No, everything's great tonight. I mean, we had a lot of talk pre-show about what the Jets might do. Certainly exciting times. I'll be at the stadium for a draft party. So looking forward to obviously the picks, but also the reaction of the Jet fans in the stadium.
Nice. Yeah. So fans, I don't know, or is it still available for the public to go, or is it a done deal in that regard?
Not sure. It'll be me and Lavernius from the Jets. And I think for the Giants, it's Victor Cruz and Justin Tuck.
A little salsa. Someone's got to bring the Tostitos.
Yeah. So I've never met the guy, actually.
Oh, Victor?
Yeah. Both number 80s, playing the same town, but I never ran into him. So I'm looking forward to meeting him.
Nice. And then Tuck, that good old Notre Dame alma mater, Super Bowl hero. So yeah, nice foursome on Thursday night.
Yeah.
Well, first order of business is Deebo Samuel. When we recorded last week, it was literally right before the news dropped that he officially requested a trade. I think via Jeff Darlington, ESPN. In the Jets' perfect world, do you want a Deebo Samuel on your team? Of course. In terms of style, he does so many different things, but there are so many variables that go into this decision. The money against the salary cap, his injury history. What do you give up? The Jets weren't willing to part with a first-round pick for even Tyreek Hill. Devontae Adams, it didn't take as much as people thought it would to get Devontae Adams in Vegas. San Francisco reports have come out that they're looking for 2 first-round picks. I don't think there's a chance in hell they get 2 first-round picks. But does Douglas give up the number 10 pick? I think the number 10 pick would get it done. But would he dare do that? I don't know, and I'm kind of hesitant to think he would.
I don't think he would. I mean, there's enough talent in the receiving class to get someone, a solid player, an immediate starter. But just watching ESPN today, if you go on ESPN.com, you could see John Lynch had a press conference, and the first, 10 minutes of it was just talking about Deebo, and, they're not looking to actively trade him, but they're open to, listening to offers, basically because they don't have a first round pick. So they said it's going to be pretty boring on Thursday night, but essentially, it's smart to listen, but they're saying his value isn't as much for another team if they're not going to use him the same way as a, running back / receiver. So that kind of takes away from his value as far as getting, a boatload of picks. So I don't think it's the same situation, but, is he worth $100 million? Maybe. But like I said, he suits that system well there. It doesn't mean he's going to, produce the same numbers in a different team.
Yeah. And to your point, he's so attractive because he is that wide back, as he coined it, where he's a half running back, half receiver. And We don't know the official reason why he wants to be traded, but the strong reports are right now is he's not happy with his usage, meaning he wants to focus on being a receiver. And if that's the case, I don't know if I would pull the trigger for the number 10 pick for him based on his injury history, based on so many things. Remember too, he's 6 foot. He's a beast of a receiver, 215. South Carolina, he missed games in South Carolina. We'll get into his injury history in a little bit, but he wasn't a first round pick. And as you look around the league, Kupp, Diggs, Devontae Adams, Tyreek Hill, all these guys are not first round picks. They're mid to late picks. So is that in the back of Joe Douglas's mind? I don't know. It's a real tough one. I don't see Douglas being thrilled and giving up the 10th overall pick. I know that for sure.
Yeah, we talked in the past weeks. It's one of the deepest receiver classes there has been. And I'm looking at this, if 77 catches for 1,400 yards and 6 touchdowns, and he doesn't like how he's being used, I'd say they're using him pretty well. And I think he has 8 rushing touchdowns. I don't understand why he would complain. What's he want to do? Catch 2,000 yards? I don't see how that takes away what he's doing. I think that's a cop out, an excuse to get out of there. I don't know why, what his situation is. But like I said, the receiver class is deep. They don't need to take a one in the first round with the edge rushers and the cornerbacks they have and linemen. So, like you said, look, I was a free agent. Receivers come all the time, 2nd, 3rd, 4th round, 5th round that could produce. So there's no immediate need for Deebo Samuel or to get a guy with the 10th pick. They can move back, get somebody in the 2nd round, because a lot of these guys are going to have solid pro careers that are in the receiver class. Yeah,
I mean, listen, am I a Deebo Samuel fan? Yeah, he's probably one of my favorite receivers in the league based on what he does. Right. But he was injured all of 2020, basically. It played 7 games, started only 5. A lot of those games he was in and out, multiple injuries, and his injury history is all to his right leg. It's pretty remarkable when you look at it, to be honest. Great website, draftsharks.com. Chance of injury in 2022, 90%. And look at these injuries, all to that right leg.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. It's his plant leg. I mean, I see, from what I've seen, most of his sweeps and runs go to the right. So that's his plant foot. But it might just be more than coincidence. But he just certainly has a tendency to get hurt. And people got to realize that. What are you going to give up for a guy that might not be on the field for all the games in a season? So that's a lot to think about,
Yeah, I mean, that's the key. Guys get hurt all the time, but when you're going to possibly pay him $30 million a year to be the highest paid receiver in the league in a hard salary cap league, that's the crusher,
Yeah. So like I said, you can get a young guy that can start, that can contribute, and you got him for 5 years. And then, you don't have to make a decision on an extension until, going into year 4. So do you want to pay a guy, or do you want to get a guy in the draft and grow the team that way? A lot of the successful teams in the past have grown their teams through the draft and not free agency. So maybe that's the route Joe Douglas goes.
Yeah, I mean, September 5th in college, 2015, thigh hamstring strain, grade 2. 2016, another hamstring, grade 2. 2017, leg fibula fracture. 2020, pedal foot fracture. I don't even know how to say that. Inguinal groin strain, grade 2. Thigh hamstring, thigh glute strain, leg calf strain, leg shin bruise. Injured groin strain, grade 2. Knee strain, grade 1. I mean, it's a lot. And listen, do injuries happen? Yes. Can you predict them? Not all the time. But again, the assets and the money, that's the important thing. It's so much different than when you're not giving up something for somebody.
Yeah. Well, you got to just, homegrown talent. Just grab these guys and hold on to them. And like I said, start fresh with these young guys and the guys that they have, and maybe focus more on the, the defense side of it. Mm-hmm. Get your receiver in the 2nd, 3rd round, but focus on, a shutdown corner. Obviously, the edge rushers are the big story right now, and the shuffling and who's going to be the number 1 pick. I think Trayvon is now the odds-on favorite in Vegas to go number 1. I know Hutchinson was the lock. It comes out that his arms are too short. They measured his arms at the combine, and his arms are I don't know what that means, but they said statistically, no defensive end with shorter arms has had that successful of a career. I don't know how they measure that, but I mean, if that guy drops to us, we need to just hit the button and put that pick in for Hutchinson, because he's a special talent.
In a heartbeat, you go Hutchinson, because he's got, on top of the talent, he's got what you want off the field too. He's got the motor, he's got the will, from all indications, from all reports. So that's without a doubt. DraftKings, as Wayne said, is the odds-on favorite at number 1. Suddenly, it was Thibodeau many months ago. Then Hutchinson, now Walker. Walker would be perfect in this scheme, no doubt. But luckily for the Jets, they're needy at edge, and there's plenty of edges. So what's going to happen at number 4? The consensus mock, for those watching on YouTube right now, it's not going to land this way. This is just the consensus based on, since the draft season started. Hutchinson 1, Thibodeau 2, which is not going to happen, I don't believe, to the Lions. Ekwonu 3, Ahmad Gardner 4 to the Jets, Evan Neal 5 to the Giants. Not going to happen. I think it's going to be edge, and the wild card is Neal. I don't think Gardner will be the pick. What do you think there, Wayne?
I don't know. I'm still up in the air by him or Stingley, based on what the so-called experts are saying. But hey, if they go in there and they get the big old lineman at number 4, I don't know. I mean, you talking about between Vera Tucker and Becton and that guy and Fant, they would immediately go to one of the top 10 offense lines. And you see a lot of the teams that have had success have that front line in front of the young quarterback specifically. And then you get a receiver somewhere else, and you got Berrios and all those guys coming back. And these 2 tight ends, I keep saying, these 2 guys can play. So both of them out there, tight ends are a quarterback's best friend, for those dump offs and, work in the middle of the field. So like you said, in other seasons, we knew what we were doing, or it was one of 2 choices when the draft came, barring someone trading up in front of us. But there's options this year, a lot of them. So, it's going to be exciting, to see what they come up with, if they do hold on to the 4 and 10 pick.
If it's Neal, and remember who Douglas and Saleh are. Douglas on the first day of the job said, listen, I'm going to be transparent. It starts with the quarterback in both lines. And it was a proclamation fans wanted to hear, because it was a long time since 2006, since they, said, forget the nonsense. We're going boring. We're going mangold and brick. Right. And, funny enough, they made the playoffs out of nowhere when the league was picking them to finish dead last. A lot of pundits. So remember who they are. They like inside out. Yeah,
I can't agree more. And like you said, getting a defensive lineman at this point, or, a defensive end in Saleh's system, we need one of those too. We don't have one of those. Hopefully Lawson comes back healthy. But like you said, I mean, you really can't go wrong with some of these guys we're talking about.
Yeah.
And they got a lot of picks, so they can move around a lot to gain more picks or move up or something like that. Like you said, it's just a deep draft at most positions. I would say, shutdown corner maybe is, the least, some good edge rushers, but those two offensive linemen are certainly top tier. I don't know if it falls off that much after that, but like you said, take a receiver in the 2nd or 3rd round. Just stock up on the big boys up front in the first 2 picks.
I'll say this. Do not freak out, fans, if they don't pull off a trade for Deebo and they don't draft a receiver at number 10. Don't freak out, because it's deep. There are so many receivers, as we keep hitting on. If you're looking at the screen, Jamison Williams is the 3rd guy here, after Garrett Wilson and Drake London, going 15 to Philly, Olave 17. Who's next after Olave? Burks, Arkansas, 22 to Green Bay, who's definitely going to be looking at receiver without Adams now. There's so many. The Penn State kid. Then you got Watson. So don't freak out. And that's going to be a huge theme. I think the huge themes are that. Will they go receiver at 10 if no Deebo? The other one is Deebo. Does Douglas dare bring him in for pick number 10, or could he pull something off without pick number 10? And then the other thing is too, interior D tackle. We talked about Jordan Davis last week. No one really has that happening. I know fans would be furious. I've talked to some if they went Jordan Davis at 10 because he's not a 3-down guy. But,
right.
In my opinion, it would be a solid pick based on his, freak of nature status at his size. But D-line is 8 deep now. You got to think of D-line as 8 starters.
Right. Well, who is this? How many round mock is this?
This is, I think it goes, we got 32 here. So this is the second round. Nakobe Dean, actually, the consensus has him first pick in the second round, which is interesting. Right. And linebacker is the other one that, is an under the radar need that they're going to have to fill, in the second, third, fourth round.
Let me ask you this. From the second half of the second round through the third and fourth, what are some of the names of these receivers that are looking to go that maybe we can potentially pick up? I mean,
Christian Watson.
Are the names? Go ahead.
Christian Watson right here in North Dakota State. He is the biggest wild card. Chris Sims, Phil's son, who works for Bleacher Report. And I don't know if he still works for Bleacher Report. It might just be NBC now. He has Watson as his top receiver. So
really,
yeah. So it's interesting in that regard. You got George Pickens going 37 in the consensus to Houston, Georgia. So it is deep. I still haven't seen the Penn State kid. You got Sky Moore, Western Michigan, at number 43.
Here's the thing that happens. Now you look through all these picks, and these guys are like not big names, not at big schools. And it's a shame to say that if we don't get London or Wilson or Williams, and we get one of these kids, you could see disappointment in the fans that aren't college football fans because they don't know the names and they're not from the top, 20 schools.
Yeah.
So I just would advise fans to have faith in Joe Douglas that, they find the right guy, in these third and fourth rounds that could be, effective and impact players. And just because they don't know the names and the schools they went to, that they're not going to be a good pick. So just warn fans that the picks are made for a reason, and kind of watch it play out before they rush to judgment.
Yeah. Remember Elijah Moore last year, early second round. Jets fans love him now. And listen, Cooper Kupp was not a household name coming into the draft. And he was a third or second round pick, one or the other. Same with Devonta Adams. Even I'd argue Tyreek Hill. He probably should have got drafted higher if not for other things that forced him to drop. Stephon Diggs, same thing. So, that's just the way it is with the receivers these days. So, so don't freak out. Everyone loves to see the guy, the baller who catches the ball, who appears on Sports Center like Wayne Corbett in 97 and 96 and 98. But it's not just the guys who touch the ball. You got to have those trenches solidified. Yeah.
So I think that's where we're at going into Thursday. But a lot of times these teams are successful in getting those solid pros, good high motor guys, like I said, that maybe didn't have great pro days but had great college careers. That's like, number 35 to number 52, on the roster that makes teams and that depth that they get, further along in the draft. So it's not just Thursday night, it's the Friday and Saturday is where a lot of the teams, have success finding those diamonds in the rough. And like you said, you just have to be confident that they find them.
Yeah. And Evan Neal too. Don't put it past Douglas to ignore Evan Neal or Ekwonu. Ekwonu could play guard, Neal tackle. I know they have Fant, they have Becton, so they look great on paper. But don't put it past Douglas to move one of those guys and draft Neal if he likes Neal that much, because, in his most recent press conference a couple weeks ago, he kept on maintaining the idea that you can't pin yourself into position need this early in the draft. You take special talent, you take special people. And if they think Evan Neal is one of those special people, don't let it shock you.
Yeah. You go best available at that point. Cause there's, you're not one player away. You need, multiple positions. The only time you really go to specific guys if you're hunting a specific quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
Other than that, you go best available because there is a need at corner, edge rusher, O lineman, receivers. So, like you said, the fact that they have all those options is going to make the draft a success.
Absolutely. If I get in my crystal ball out, I'll say this: one of two scenarios happen. I don't think Deebo's happening, based on the nature of Douglas and based on what San Fran wants. San Fran will have to drop its asking price big time.
Right.
So I see Jermaine Johnson. If it's Thibodeau or Jermaine Johnson, and there's reports out too. One of them was Connor Hughes from The Athletic, and there was another one, I think, from NFL.com. I forget the person, but there are reports the Jets favor Jermaine Johnson over Thibodeau. I could understand why, based on some of his athletic traits, his bend. He's more of a pure pass rusher in the eyes of many. So one scenario is Jermaine Johnson at 4, and then receiver at 10. And then the other scenario is Neal at 4, and then another edge at 10, Karlaftis or whoever.
What if they get the edge and then Gardner, Gardner or Stingley's still there? You do that. The thing about Thibodeau is what I'm hearing is that he likes football. He doesn't love football.
Right.
That's what I'm hearing about it. And you don't want, you got to really question someone that football isn't their passion and the number one priority in their life. And I'm not saying that's true. I don't know the guy, but I'm hearing that more than one source. So maybe that kind of like takes you off him, even if he is there at 4.
Right. Because you got to remember, all these guys are talented that come in the NFL. It's that stuff that separates the greats and the goods from, the average guy.
Yeah.
And that's where personnel departments in the NFL really shine, when they could separate that divide.
Okay.
So, I don't know. I think best case would be edge at 4 and then a trade down at 10 and pick up a couple assets.
Yeah.
But we shall see. Wayne, what about you? Best case, you want to throw something out there?
Yeah, I don't see the Deebo thing happening, nor do I want it to happen.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't think he'll be as successful in the system with the players they have. So yeah, I do hope they get, one of these top edge rushers. I know Joe Douglas likes the lineman, and hopefully they can get, the Garrett Wilson kid. I know we've watched film on the receivers coming out the last couple of weeks, and I just think he's the top in my mind. And, a shutdown corner, one of these young kids, hopefully we can maneuver around. But I do think receiver is the third option that we need based on the depth of the class and, what we could pick up in later rounds.
I would agree. And then interior D-line and linebacker after that.
Yeah.
And hopefully maybe Nakobe Dean does drop and they could scoop him up in the early second. We shall see. Wyatt, the kid from Ohio State's another name to look at.
Yeah.
Let's check out this video. I don't know if the audio is going to play. Yeah. So basically we're watching the Deebo Samuel video in the club. There he is, given the no sign. Deebo is staying. What does that say? Deebo is staying a 49er. And if you haven't seen it, just look up Deebo Samuel club video.
Yeah. Wow.
One of these nights, I guess he was hanging out. He's given the no sign.
Listen, understand you don't know what's going on there, but understand he's posturing for a long-term contract. So of course he's going to, when you're going to sign a contract, they find all your flaws for every reason not to make you the highest paid or to give you the best contract. So he kind of took control of the situation. So, I don't really want to be there. Don't want to be there. Oh, but if you pay me, I want to be there. They got to show him some love. That's what he wants.
Yep.
You got to understand that he if they give him that deal, he's going to play for the San Francisco 49ers. He's not going anywhere, and he's going to be all in love with the team again and the fans again. So don't believe everything you see on the social media. Absolutely.
And the main reason is we haven't heard a specific reason from him for why he wants to be traded. Right. It's kind of, it's a mystery. And when it's a mystery and it's not out there, it's usually posturing. It's usually contract related. So to your point, I think you're right on the money.
So that's my feelings on it. I'll be in touch on Thursday night, get a reaction, and maybe do a Friday show, something going into the weekend, and certainly a follow-up the beginning of next week on the whole draft.
All right, sounds good. We'll wrap it up with this. Michael Nania wrote a predictive 2022 mock draft based on Joe Douglas's trends over his first 2 drafts, and he's got Kayvon going at number 4. So that should be interesting. And then number 10, he's got Drake London, USC, big guy. I know Wayne likes him, but Garrett Wilson kind of filled your heart too as well.
Yeah. So if this is how it works out, I'd be more than happy, and I'm sure Jet fans will be too.
Yep. All right. So Jets fans, we will come back at you after the draft. It should be interesting Thursday night. Rate and review us on iTunes. Check out jetsxfactor.com. Use discount code 80. Like and subscribe on YouTube, all that good stuff. And, get one of those free 8x10 Wayne Corbett signed pictures. I keep sending them out, keep mailing them out. People are thanking us left and right. It's a great deal. Use the simulator, the offseason simulator. You got a few days left on the site. And remember, discount code 80, and away we go.
Again, thanks everybody for joining us, and look forward to covering what our picks were going into this weekend.
Absolutely. All right, Jets fans, until next time.